Hello, and welcome to the very first, in what I hope is going to be a long line, of Rambling Ramble Packs. I'm your host, Chris Horban, and today I'm bringing you a factor of factories in Factorio. So, let's just get a new game started up, run you through how this works, and then we're going to be very bored during setup. So, I want the preview up yet. Okay. So, personally, I like to set this game up with low frequency, high size and richness deposits because it encourages a lot of travel. But what this will do is each of these deposits is worth a certain amount. Frequency shows how often they come about on the map, and size means just how big each deposit is on, like, the ground. Richness is how much each chunk of the deposit actually holds. So a large but very poor deposit will not last very long, and you'll need a load of mining machines to get through it. But a really rich mining deposit will have a lot, but you might not have very many mining machines going at it at one time. So a high level of richness and doubled size usually works out for a fairly decent, long-lasting deposit. Terrain, I like to have a lot of water, trees, and not very many cliffs, but when the cliffs are there, they're long cliffs. Let's take the red desert down a bit. No particular reason why not to. Oh, those cliffs are looking awful. Maybe let's turn the continuity down a bit. Because cliffs are going to be the main thing that gets in the... Cliffs are going to be the main thing that gets in the way of actually building your base. The enemies, they're just annoying. But we can turn the frequency on those down and size on those down, because honestly, combat is not what I come to this game for. I don't actually understand how the evolution stuff works at all, so we might be in a bit of a problem. Minimum cooldown. We want to jack the minimum cooldown up quite high, because that means it'll expand much more slowly. Maximum group size. Maximum group size fairly small, because once again that will also affect the combat parties they send out as well, I believe. Map, recipes normal, technology normal, price multiplier normal. We want the research queue, because research queue makes setting things up so much easier. Absorption modifier let's give it a fairly high modifier, attack cost modifier. Let's make that, because that minimum to damage trees. And while this might not be the best map, note the water's all fairly far away from the starting area. It's got a nice clean line to make a bus in, and the cliffs and the lakes also make natural choke points to set up for some good defences later on, so let's roll with this. Game comes in. You have survived, much like every single crafting game. You survived some horrible tragedy, and now you need to continue surviving, which is often or not a lot easier than it would be in the real world, a lot more difficult than it would be in, well, I don't know, what would this be more difficult than? You can essentially put together robots with your bare hands. So we just get a good start tearing apart the remains of a crashed ship. That gives us iron to make shit with. And it also opens up the space because we're gonna end up needing a lot of space. And we'll need wood for the early game. We won't need much of it for late game because I don't know, for some reason it just becomes really unnecessary late game. So we take the burner mountain. Something's sticking in my craw. So we're just going to need to get some coal going. Take the burner mining drill. And we feed that the coal, or no, I do not want to feed it all up. Eat the coal. So that will dig us up a fuel supply while we manually mine some iron for ourselves, just to while away the hours. And we put the stone furnace down, get the iron ore, coal. And so we slowly start our domination of this planet. Emphasis on the slowly. Dig up some stone so we can make more stone furnaces. If I had somebody who was willing to cook on, they'd probably have remarked, funny how that works. It just does. Build 2 stone furnaces. And plates that probably shorten up another stone furnace. Okay, let's just take that. Build. And now I'm mostly just building mining drills in order to mine more coal so I can fuel more things. I'm not going for the challenge run where you basically build nothing by hand, because that would be an even slower, more meticulous start, and I don't think anybody would want to listen to me talk my way through that. As little as I actually want to talk my way through that. So we're just going to try and get everything ready to be built before I actually do the dramatic event that is building. It'd be going much faster if there were like loose-lying boulders scattered around. I had a really good start on my last map, which went south eventually due to overwhelming alien attacks, because I had a bunch of heavy boulders scattered around, so I never needed to split my time between running to the shockingly far away stone deposit in order to build these mining drills. Need a couple more iron plates. Yeah. Right. This is what the beginning of this game is like most of the time. Just a very slow, meticulous grind. Now, the big issue about the starting area is all of the resources are clumped together, which will make sorting them into neat mining settings somewhat of an aggravation, because the next tier of mining drills, the ones that don't require coal to feed them and will run you through pretty much the rest of the game afterwards, take up 3x3 squares. But they also require like power pole setups, which you need to work around them, so it's usually closer to a 3x3.5 or depending on how you particularly want to set it up yourself. So just take those out. Let's make an iron chest. Not quite, so let's just... It's always the way of this game. Do I have the final few bits I need to top off this design? Nope. Oh well. Another 5 seconds then. Click in the space. And that will get my iron going. Copper, you're not going to need nearly as much of as you will iron. It seems like everything needs iron plates, iron gear wheels, or steel by the time you get to that. Meanwhile, you just need copper for electronics, but it's a lot steadier of a demand as you go through the game. So you'll often start off with your copper production backed up, and you think, oh, it'll be fine once I get there. No. Once you hit that point where you start needing copper, you start needing copper constantly. It's just pulled in less directions than the iron is in general. Fine. So let's save that first. I'll just let you burn your little well. So in essence, the first thing we're going to need to do is to get a good coal system going up across to this bit of water over here, because this is where we'll start up the steam power plant. And that will be required if we want to make anything automated. Otherwise, we'll be relying on constantly feeding our machines a power supply of coal. And that's just a nuisance. Nothing more, nothing less. That's enough for another 4 burner drills. And I'll get us started on copper. Which we need to make the simple stuff like electronic circuits and power poles. So, 1, 2. I can't build there, I am in the way. You're not that important, me. Says you. Yes, says me indeed. 2, 3. No, that was... 18. I'll get 6 of these so I can have 2 banks of 4 smelters for each of the metal types. I will eventually want to start smelting stone as well to get stone bricks, because you use those to make the ground easier to run about on. But that's not necessary yet. Press Alt to show what each thing is actually working on making. Very useful thing to remember to do. And now, because I don't have a nice neat split, you pick something up and right click in order to drop individual bits of it. Tire iron, tire copper supply, and this should give us enough to get to work on building. Less of a waste than you think, because each of these forts can hold 100 stack of the finished product. They can only hold 50 of the starting, which is a slight nuisance, but it's better than being unable to hold more than the start. It's better than having a starting stack of something like 50 and being only able to hold 25 of the finished product. That would be an aggravation. So we can take the burner inserters, which require coal to shift things about, but they're also slow and you'll wind up not using them almost immediately, so let's just need to get some more stone, of course. I always forget. Stone, 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 stone. Stonity, stonity, stone. Stone, stone, stone narrative. So we stand here and repeatedly bop the ground, strike the earth. I wonder if in the expansion for this they'll make extra planes so you could build an underground thing or set stuff up on stilts to make a multi-leveled factory. It'd probably be a bit too confusing, what with the logistics system they've already got in place for the conveyor belts once you get later on in the game, but it'd be interesting to see if they try it. Just gotta refuel these because it looks like they're about to run out. Left. Okay, that's a shit ton of iron. Now we've got 4 burners, and the best pattern is two steam engines to every burner. Which means let's just make 8 of those. Grab a couple of offshore pumps so we can actually get the water out. And just make the full stack of pipes because we're going to need a lot of pipes. And there in the bottom left, you can see the crafting queue. So if I had made all of the iron gear wheels and pipes ahead, it'd only show up the steam engines for building, but because I've got to build the resources out of raw resources to build them, it takes a little bit longer. It does, however, simplify things quite a bit. Get a big stack of copper wires going as well. And I need those for power poles and for just things in general. Which yeah, essentially what I plan to do is, because it's also tightly bunched together, I can make the iron foundry out here, copper foundry up here, have coal feeds going where I need them to go. Stone foundry should probably be just below the iron foundry, and have a collective, like, cabled belt of resources running up and splitting off into individual sections where I need it. That sounds nice and neat, and it's probably not going to work out that way, but let me dream. It would be nice to dream. So, first off, let's just take the offshore pumps. I wish I had left the item that let me build over water already, but that's a little ways off, so let's build it. No, let's build it similarly vertically to how we planned the bus. Need to take the pipes, knock those together, clear you out of the way. The burners vent steam off to the side opposite where you feed the coal into, so wait, I did not plan this out immediately while doing it. So let's, instead of having it there, kill my darling, clear out these trees real quick. Okay. Right. Take the offshore pumps, similar setup. See, the issue with keeping this nice and tight is, if I tried to build it here, I wouldn't be able to put the steam pipe that's coming out the back of the burner, because it would immediately connect to the water pipe. And the game doesn't allow you to mix fluid types, so it needs to be at least 2 spaces away, like so, so the steam will not intersect immediately with the water. Then we need 3 spaces so I can put a cable, a logistics belt running through the middle with the burners, which take up 1 space on each, with inserters on each side to feed coal into the machines. I didn't make any underground pipes, so I'm going to need to go back to the foundries, grab some iron plates, build the underground pipes. You can make a very, very elegant and neat system this way. It just takes a little bit of time and a lot of memory on what you're actually going to need, and well, I've got plenty of time. I don't have very good memory. Let's just grab a bunch of those. It's always good to have copper. I don't really need it immediately though. And just building the belts en masse, because you'll always need more belts. Even if they're really slow to begin with, you're going to need more belts almost immediately. The yellow line implies where the inserter will pick up from, the arrows where it's picking up to. The flashing orange power symbol means it doesn't have power. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That will get me enough electrical poles. I didn't build any underground pipes. I meant to build underground pipes. Come on, slap me for my stupidity. It's what I deserve. These things are nearing the end of their usefulness, so I probably don't need to feed any more of copper and the iron ones, but the coal ones are going to be needed for the burners themselves, for the boilers. And I'm always going to need more iron, so generally not a good idea to take them down until you have the ingredients for your second phase. And I'm very short on iron plates to make the next level of the mining droves, because it will tell you exactly how much of each resource you need when you mouse over it in the crafting screen. So repair pack, but you need to repair things after they've been damaged. Funny how that works. Take 6 iron plates and 3 copper plates, but those 6 iron plates and those 3 copper plates are used to make 2 iron gear wheels, which take 2 iron plates each, and 2 electronic circuits, which take 3 copper wire and 1 iron plate each. No, yeah, 3 copper wire, because you get 2 copper wire from a copper plate. Yeah, that's how the math works. I'm not an idiot, I promise. That's what an idiot would promise, though. Whoosh. So we get very used to running back and forth in the early game. And this gives us couple of underground pipes to build out with. And here is why you want the underground pipes. They don't stop you from running, which the regular pipes will. Of course, in order to make the underground pipes, you need to use up your regular pipes, which is kind of annoying, but hey ho, it's how the game works. At least how it's decided it works. So this allows for that. The underground pipes also have one of the best ranges of any underground item, especially early on, so it's usually fairly easy to make something like this with a little bit of very little problems. So, just put that down. Now you can see that, well, this covers a 5x5 space. The next level will cover a 7x7, but you've also got to connect them up. And the next level has a longer connection range, but it also unlocks power poles which have a very small coverage space, but a huge connection range. So eventually you start branching out into making different pathways of electronic poles in order to cover as much ground as possible when, well, a lot of the maps closed off, but say I wanted to make a train way to get to the stone depot up there, I'd follow the train line with the long connecting power poles and then use the regular power poles to actually, you know, fill in the area. Okay, so that's boilers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, the boilers also need to be connected to the power stations, considering they're the ones making the power. So what's best to do it like this? Take pipes, connect them all together. And that, once we get it all fired up and working, will give us the power we need to automate our base very basically. This is going to get large, and probably later on I'm going to move it from this spot here down to around here, or maybe a bit lower so it's not in the way of the bus as much. But for now, it's fairly close. It's not mega in the way, and it'll give me the power I need to mine, because mining is important. Mine, oh mine. Alright. So, basically out of fuel already. So take the last few bits of iron ore. Take it apart. It's not going to last much longer, so to be fine. Copper in. I think the copper stuff was already out of fuel, so yeah. Let's just get all of this out of the way. And just by picking up the iron we had prepared, enough to make more electronic mining probes. I've put those in an awkward position to get started, haven't I? Well. this is what I mean when I say it takes up a 3x3 space. I'm not sure why it has the blue square around it on all of the extra spaces, but it does. And that's the general pattern I like to go with for these guys. What will feed the code? They did manage to take out a couple of chunks, so let's just speed those up. Probably not going to have enough transport belt to get this across immediately, but better to get started than nothing. And at least it makes 2 at a time on the early levels, so it won't be as long as it looks, it's just going to take longer than I want it to. Probably get some science labs set up soon as well. Pardon me. Put those down near the power system, but until those are finished, just gonna have to patiently wait a bit. So how about that local sports team? But while we wait, let's talk about the technology. So press T, and this is the technology screen. Eventually, we're going to be getting down here and making nuclear bombs and space shuttles and artillery cannons that can clear half the map, but for now we're stuck with making street lights. The first thing we want, however, are automation, which allows you to build an assembly machine which will craft everything for you so long as you feed it the required materials and the specific materials. So you will need to feed it iron gear wheels, iron plates and electronic circuits if you want to make more assembly machines. And logistics, which will give us the other 2 types of belt, the underground belt, which has a very short range to begin with, and the splitter, which will take any feed and split it into 2 separate belts. This forms the basis of all of the complexity we're going to be facing, so let's just set up the queue for now. You've got to enable the queue to be able to do this. Gun turrets, steel processing, military, and steel axe, which will increase mining speed. Or do I have access to the utility belt at this point in time? No, I do not believe I do. Yeah, that's going to take logistics science, which is just a little bit of a step up when it comes to what we need from automation. So let's get electronics, because we're going to need better stuff sooner rather than later. You see how quickly it's making the belts? Basically just swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. And this is why an underground belt would be great, because it plonk it there, and if it was long enough, you get it to go underneath the water. At the moment, we're forced to take our belts where nature intends us. Don't think we quite made enough to get there either. Always the way with these starting. Okay, let's not in fact take the tight inside. Oops. Let's just come back a bit. You can rotate the way the belt faces by pressing R on it while it's on the ground, so you don't need to noodle about with it constantly. So short on these things. I might just have enough to get it there by the end. Either that or I'm going to have to go back and grab some more. I hate diagonal spaces because it looks like there's enough room to build on them, but there never is. We just build the wiggle. Right, and that, once we get these burners working at least, will allow us to get power to the automated mining machines. Like so. And so, with a little bit of gumption and an awful lot of automated belts, we now have got to follow it back a fairly long way. I might have made it a bit too far away for oh, and I didn't connect the mining machines to the electricity network. Whoops. If you just hold the button down as you build it, it will automatically take it to the maximum connecting length, which is a nice frustration saving feature. Or it would be if I was actually good at this game, but yeah. And that's got everything connected in so far. Now, the next stage comes in, well, building more mining drills in order to do the same for a coal, an iron foundry and a copper foundry, and later on a stone foundry. See? The green light shows there's an accessible mining material underneath it, and when it runs out it will turn red. If it's got no space to put it onto the belt because it's completely backed up, it'll be yellow. So at this point we want a lot more iron. It's always the way, constantly going to run out of iron, especially early on. Well, play the game, play the game. 1, 2, 3, 4. And while I have them, this is just a personal opinion, but I like to keep my labs close to the power generation because very little else is needed over here. So just for now, we're going to keep those out the way, and I don't want to make too many of those. So let's just take 20. Make a couple more automated things. 20 should get us through automation and logistics, I hope. not, well, it's not a big deal. We can just dig up some more iron and get building, but for now, that looks like a good spot to start. Building reach is also kind of small in this, which is a slight nuisance, but could be worse. Could be much worse. And I forget how slow the early game belts go. I'm literally running faster than this thing. Put 10 in there. One of the more aggravating things about the labs is once you've got them automated, they only pick up 2 packs at a time. And the way I usually have it set up is a 3x4 grid with them feeding into each other. But it also has this weird habit of just randomly shuffling the packs around. So it's something to watch out for, I guess, but we'll only really start seeing that once we get into making chemical science, which is blue, and military science, which is dark grey packs, and that's a whiles off. Hopefully we'll have built some automation before then. Automation and logistics before then. And that's the sound of a technology being successfully researched. And it shows up here and in the top with those little exclamation points. So yeah, that's how this works. Now we have long-handled inserters, which, just for demonstration against a regular inserter, cover 2 spaces, which makes it much easier to handle automated construction which requires like 3 or 4 ingredients, because otherwise you'd never be able to automate something like the steam engine, which you'd need a belt for iron plates and gear wheels and pipes, and the belts only have 2 spaces for ingredients, so you'd either have to be really careful about feeding things in a rhythm, where you have 1 belt for the iron plates and the iron gear wheels and 1 belt for pipes, and that's generally how you get it working with 3, so you... Once again, the feed turns a little bit thick, but if it works, it works. Well, that's really what you need it to do. You need it to work more than anything else. You can see the pattern starting to build up on the mining rigs. Just waiting for the logistics pack to go off, because that way I can get a splitter early on in the cove thing to feed into the foundry setup for the iron. Let's take these down now and get a rough setup. 2, 3, 4. Just need a couple of belts to demonstrate how it works. So we bring it out, we split it in this section, so one will go up that way, this one will go this way, and once the splitter's in there, they'll actually curve away from each other rather than this somewhat disconcerting effect. And we want it to... I think I've got that space correct. No, I have not. So we want them to feed into a twinned set of belts down here, so spacing needs to be like so. Because if it's like that, the inserter won't be able to pick anything up. And as I learned in my last game, there's a little trick to this, which we will see. Actually, will I be able to do that trick the way I've got this set up? Possibly not. Experimentation time. Oh shit. Is it still researching, or do I need to make more science for it? I think I might need to make more science for it, because that 50 is not going up. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, see, you can tell they're not active because the mad lightning is crackling. Like so. You can tell it's science because it's Van der Waals generator. It does tend to go through the science packs really quickly though, which is a slight issue, and I can never quite tell how many it needs. It says it needs 20. But does it need 20 that last for 15 seconds, or? Like, it's a little bit inconsistent, which isn't the worst. But for now, I think you've all been listening to me ramble on for long enough, so we'll save this. And we'll stop here for today. I hope you all enjoyed listening. I hope you have a good day, evening or morning, or whatever it is for you. Bye bye!